Hey, it's Crystalline. So I just made a video about the words and definitions of kidnapping, hostage, and captive. Now here's some more words. Unlawful. Unlawful can also mean immoral. Okay? Unlawful taking. Kidnapping is unlawful taking. Well, what's unlawful? Unlawful is immoral. What is immoral? Lying and stealing. What 4 grown men with guns did was lie about me and say that I was a drug user. I've never used drugs in my entire life. They said I was homeless. I was not homeless. They said I was outside for hours and hours, wandering the streets. That was not true. They said my son was cold. That was not true. Captive also means by force and deceptive measures. Okay, deception. Okay, lying about me, saying I'm a drug user, homeless, wandering the streets, none of that was true. I disproved every single claim, and they're holding my son Israel hostage. Okay, it is a hostage situation. Disproved every single claim. Okay, me and my son were kidnapped. I was kidnapped under deceptive measures, held captive under deceptive measures. Okay? They said they were helping me, we're going to help you, we're going to help you. Well, they arrested me on felony child abuse. I've never abused my child. Okay? He was 3 months old. Okay? They said I was wandering the streets, I was homeless, I'm a drug addict. None of that was true. None of it. Or that my son was cold. None of that was true. Okay? But a lot of people are going to pretend that I was not kidnapped and that my son was not kidnapped in November 2020. Well, you guys need to go learn to read the dictionary. Huh? Grown adults have never read the dictionary in your life? Or going on a website and said, kidnapping definition. What's the definition of hostage? Captive, unlawful, immoral, lying and stealing. Americans don't know these definitions. And so nobody's up in arms about me being kidnapped by 4 armed men and then taking my son away from me. Taking my son away from his mother, who never abused him. Because they made false statements, deceptive measures, pretending to help me, saying to my face all night long they were helping me. Okay, they kept saying that to my face for an hour. We're trying to help you. We're trying to help you. Behind my back, the 4 armed men were talking about me, lying about me, lying about me behind my back to each other. The 4 grown men, armed men. I sat in a locked vehicle. I could not get out. And you're going to tell me I was not kidnapped and my son was not kidnapped and taken and held captive and hostage? Apparently Americans don't know the definitions of words. English words. They also don't know the definition of a son or a definition of a mother, a woman. That nobody's up in arms, that 4 grown men with multiple weapons kidnapped me and took my son. Okay, they bound me up. The 4 grown men bound me, tied my hands up, lied about me in order to take my son. But people are going to pretend that this did not happen. Why? I know why people are pretending this did not happen. Because now you get to do nothing. Now you get to just sit back and do nothing and never do anything. You don't have to speak up. You don't have to, start a movement. You don't need to be a part of a movement. You don't need to start a revolution. You don't need to be a part of a revolution. You don't have to confront anyone. You can be lazy. You can be apathetic. You can be hateful. You don't have no duty. You don't have no responsibility. Because Americans hate duty and hate responsibility. They hate being held accountable. They're going to pretend I'm not held hostage and kidnapped, that my son is not held hostage and kidnapped, that we are not held captive in the government's hands. What's funny is Americans are full of Christians who read the Bible, Book of Mormon, or Doctrine and Covenants, and yet all of those books are about criminals and criminal activity and corrupt governments. Corrupt governments and Christians who are falsely imprisoned. That's interesting. All those books talk about false imprisonment, Christians, and corrupt governments. But people pretend that me and my son were not held hostage, not held captive, and not kidnapped. By 4 armed men? Wow. With multiple weapons and a locked vehicle where you can't get out? And nobody's going to be up in arms because they don't want to do anything. Oh, we're too busy with jobs, with work, with my boyfriend, with my husband, with my wife, with my girlfriend, going to the movies. Nobody wants to care about a child's life, a newborn's life, or you guys all want to go on vacation. You guys all want to go do this and go do that, and not care about a little baby boy's life or an innocent mother's life. But you don't want to do any work. You don't want to confront people. You don't want to take names. You don't want to start petitions. You don't want to protest and put up signs, because that's all too much work. Too much work for the lazy, right? Oh, but we're not allowed to have righteous anger, right? Of course not. We all study the Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, and Bible, but then you're not allowed to have righteous judgment. You're not allowed to have righteous anger. Pretty phenomenal. And and emotions, and express them. Oh my God, another sin is to express your feelings and emotions, and it's sinful to have feelings and emotions. Oh my God, everybody called me a fucking sinner, and oh my God, I just swore. So I'm another, oh my God, sinner that gets treated like a murderer because I swear. Okay, Mormons literally hate on people and treat them like murderers when you swear. Profanity. Oh my. And because I have righteous judgment. Oh my God, I'm a criminal, I'm a sinner. And righteous anger. I'm a sinner and a criminal now. I get labeled 1,000 things. 1,000 things. I've been put up on the cross next to Jesus Christ. Every single day I carry a heavy cross, just as heavy as Jesus Christ's. Everybody put me up on the cross. Good, because I can handle it. I can handle heavy things. I'm strong. Most people are not strong. They would be committing suicide. They'd be murdering, kidnapping. They'd be committing 1,000,000 crimes. But let's pretend people don't have feelings and emotions and express them. Let's pretend people don't have righteous judgment, righteous anger. Let's pretend it's okay to kidnap little babies and traumatize them, torture them, terrorize them, give them anxiety, severe anxiety, separation issues, anger, frustration, sadness, depression. Where's mom and why can't I be with her? Where's my mother and why can't I be with her? Oh, well, Israel, we're pretending your mom's a drug addict. We're pretending she's homeless, even though we have videos and audios of her house. Even though we got paperwork of the lease. Leases and videos and audio footage of a house is not, according to the Guardian ad litem, Michael Balzer. He's pretending like the video and audio, the tour, the caseworker and CPS man did. They're pretending like that doesn't exist. And they pretend a lease doesn't exist. And so all the paperwork said that I'm homeless. So evidence doesn't matter. And then if you don't have $1 million like Paris Hilton, you get walked all over. And then people pretend you're allowed to prove your innocence. People pretend lawyers have payment plans. People pretend like judges are not corrupt. Okay, even though the arresting, even though the man that held me hostage and kidnapped me, even though he said, Oh, he's just trying to keep me warm in order to kidnap my fucking son. Okay? He never said I abused my son or neglected my son. He said I took her to keep her warm. Really? Really? That's not what you guys were saying when you bound my hands together, tied me up. You didn't say, hey, we're just taking you so you can have a warm place to sleep tonight. No. Sorry. You did not say I'm tying you up to keep you warm for tonight. You did not say that. You said I abused my son. But in court, you said that you tied me up to keep me warm. But in November 2020, you said to me that I abused my son, and that's why you bound my hands. You said you bound my hands in November because I abused my son. But in trial, you said you bound my hands to keep me warm. Okay? Then the caseworker was on trial. Okay? She said she did not know, didn't remember what my son was wearing, yet they were saying my son was cold. Okay, doesn't know what my son was wearing, but yet they claimed that my son was cold. Wow. But the judge on the court report, the judge said, oh, these witnesses are so objective, so detailed, such good witnesses. Huh. But they're not contradictory, huh? Really? Really, Judge? They're not contradictory? The caseworker said my son was cold. Israel was cold. But then trial said she couldn't remember, didn't know what my son was wearing. In trial, the man that tied my hands up said he was keeping me warm that night. But yet I was told that I was a child abuser. In trial, okay, but Judge, you say that they are reliable, credible witnesses. Well, because my logic and reasoning says otherwise. They have two different stories from November all the way until trial dates. Two different stories, sir. But Judge, you're not corrupt, right? Okay. Okay, everybody, we're going to pretend the judge is not corrupt. Okay, Judge, I get it. But I'm not allowed to speak and use my mouth and communicate. I'm not allowed to stand up for truth in all things, at all times, in all places. I'm not allowed to speak the truth. Oh, Crystalline, don't say anything. Live in fear. Be fearful of the judge. Be fearful of the guardian ad litem. Be fearful of the lawyer for dcfs. Be fearful, Crystalline. Live in fear. Keep your mouth shut. Fear them. I don't fear evil men, corrupt men who lie and slander. I do not bow down to corrupt men or women. I will never, ever bow down to corrupt men or women. Never. I will never live in fear, never have, never will live in fear of corrupt, evil men. Never. I do not fear evil. I do not fear evil men with evil agendas to lie and slander a baby and an innocent mother. Oh, Crystalline, shut up. Don't say anything. Live in fear of these evil men with evil intents. I do not live in fear, never have and never will. I speak all the time. People try to shut me up and silence me about things that matter. A baby and his mother. All year, there were people that wanted to shut me up. Don't say anything to the judge or the other lawyers or the guardian ad litem. Don't say anything, because they've threatened me. They've threatened my life and my son's life. Oh, but you guys can all sit back and pretend my life hasn't been threatened and that my son's life hasn't been threatened. Okay. You can pretend that you're not all predators that refuse to stand up for the rights of an innocent woman and an innocent baby. of a newborn baby. You can pretend that our constitutional rights don't matter, but only you and your children's rights matter. Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Apathetic. You guys are all apathetic, but pretend you're not. You guys are all prideful, but pretend you're humble. You guys pretend you're truthful and honest, but yet you lie and slander through your teeth. We have a blind, deaf, dumb society. Not one person wants to stand up for me and my son's rights. They want to pretend cops are not corrupt. Pretend that DCFS is not corrupt. Pretend I wasn't bound up by armed men who deceptively took my son. And there's ransom. Okay? I'm not being forced to do stuff, many things, in order to get my kid back. And you're going to tell me this is not hostage, this is not captive, this is not kidnapping? So you're going to pretend and tell me you've never seen a movie about kidnapping, hostage, or captive? So you don't know what any of that means? Okay, keep pretending, keep pretending. But I'm supposed to live in fear and keep my mouth shut so that the judge, so that the guardian ad litem, so that the DCFS lawyer, so that other people, can keep lying about me and getting away with it. That I need to keep my mouth shut and I need to live in fear. I'm not a woman that keeps my mouth shut. You're talking about my son that you kidnapped. You hold hostage. You hold captive in order to force me to do your demands. You forced me to do your demands to get my own son back. I was freed. My son was not freed. I was freed the week of November 11th. My son was not free. He still is not free of the government's hands. But hey, you can pretend. Pretend our rights don't matter. Pretend only you and your children's rights matter. Pretend that your friends and family members' rights matter, but me and my son, we don't matter to this world. So let's walk all over her. And let's blame her for everything and lie about her and continue to lie and slander her and trash her, because who the fuck cares about her? Who the fuck cares about her baby? Oh, but you want people to care about you and your children, though. And you and your family members and you and your friends. You want people to care about your friends, your family, and you and your children. But you don't give a fuck about me and my children. And by the way, everybody, my oldest son and youngest son have both been kidnapped. Both kidnapped as little babies. Both were held hostage. Both held captive. I had to do shit in order to get them back. Both sons. And let's keep pretending that children aren't kidnapped, held hostage, held captive. And let's pretend that mothers aren't forced to do what you want.